Pratibha College of Commerce and Computer Studies organizes a course on Introduction to Medicinal Plants. This course is designed for botany and chemistry. In previous presentation, one of my colleague, Dr. Nisha Chaudhary, talked on the botanical part of the course like searching of plants, its identification and taxonomy, which are the core part of botany. In today's presentation, I am Dr. Surekha Zogdan going to deal with the part of the chemistry. So in these slides, you can see the plants, number of plants that we have chosen for the study and their medicinal properties. As I'm dealing with the part of chemistry, that is phytochemistry, which is also called as a plant chemistry, and it can be considered as subfield of botany and chemistry. So if you observe this slide carefully, so the chemical compounds present in selected plants, the alkaloids are there, some steroids, phenolic compounds and essential amino acids are there. So we have chosen these plants because they have the medicinal uses, and the medicinal uses are due to these chemical compounds which are present in the plants. So here is the list of plants along with the chemical compounds. As there are all chemical compounds are there, they should be extracted from the plant material for medicinal use. Here is the role of chemistry comes. So extraction extraction, the name of itself tells us that it is the action of removing of the something. Here we are removing the chemical compounds, which is in botany it is called as active part of the plant from the plant material. So that plant material, it may be leaves, it may be flowers, it may be root, or it may be bark. So any part of plant is there. So the method of removing of the chemical compounds or active part from the plant material, it requires the solvent for the extraction purpose or for the dissolution purpose. So choice of solvent or the selection of solvent is very much important for the extraction purpose. So for successful determination of biologically active compounds depends upon the type of the solvents used in the extraction process, and the choice of solvent also depends upon which content is present in the extract. So the solvent is called solvent when the solvent is having the following properties. That means it should be low toxic, it should evaporate at low temperature, and there should not be any chemical reaction with the active part of the material. So extraction. So general techniques, following are the general techniques which are used for the extraction purpose. So these are the techniques, that is macreation, infusion, percolation, digestion is there, then decoction extraction is there, then hot continuous extraction, which is also called as a oxidation, then aqueous alcoholic extraction is there by fermentation, then counter current extraction is there, then ultrasound extraction is there, microwave assisted extraction is there. So ultrasound and microwave assisted extraction, so in these extractions, so ultrasound energy is used and microwave energy is used respectively, so that energy is also used for the purpose of the extraction. Now I'll briefly talk about the each and every technique in briefly one by one. So first one is the infusion is there. So infusion, it is a very simple and old extraction. In these natural herbs are used, and that natural herbs are, it is actually soft in nature, and that herb also water soluble. So it is a simple method. So in this method, so just natural herbs are generally soaked for a short period of time. So for example, we can give the example as a cumin seed. So few cumin seeds you can kept in a water for overnight, and if you observe the that flask in the morning, so you can see the color of the water, it gets changed. The color of the change of the water is due to the active part of the cumin seed which is present in cumin, so that get dissolved in the water. So this is one of the type of extraction is there. So it is very simple, nothing is required, you have to just soak the natural herb in the water. and you have to just drain out whatever remaining things are there. So that solid cumin seeds, it is called as a murk in botany. So whatever solid part is there, so that is called as a murk, and whatever liquid content what we are collecting, so that is called as a extract. Then second technique is the digestion. So in this digestion, so you can see here the it is natural herbs. Again, they are in digestion. So natural herbs, they are in the form of soft nature of the natural herb. It is a soft. They are water soluble. But one more different thing is that than the infusion is that. So in this case, we are gently hitting the gentle heating is required for the extraction purpose. So you can give the example of the simple herbal tea that nowadays we are making the herbal tea. So for making of the herbal tea, we use the boiled water, but we are not boiling that herbal tea with the water, but we use the boiled water, and we just dip those packets of the herbal tea in the boiled water, and we can see after dipping two to three times that herbal tea in water, we can see the color of water, it gets changed. So that means whatever content is present in there, so that get uh, dissolved in the boiled water. The only thing is there, here we need some gentle heating, but here we are not boiling the material. Next technique is the decoction technique. Now you can see here is image one image is there that we can see here, the plant is there and the root is there. So decoction technique, in this decoction techniques, so here the whatever herbs are there, so that is the hard part of the material, hard part of the plant is there. So generally roots are there, so these roots, they are chopped into the smaller pieces and they may be powderized, and that powder material or chopped small pieces, so these material, it is boiled with the water or the solvent, whatever solvent is required. So this is boiled with the water for a certain period of time, and after boiling, so that whatever content are present in there or active part, that get dissolved in the solvent, and this is filtered, and after filtration, so whatever content is there, extract is there, so that is collected, and the remaining part, that is the murk is there, so that is removed by the process of filtration. So for a decoction, we can give the simple example is we are all drinking tea. So making of tea and making of coffee is the best example of decoction. So how we can make the tea? So that tea powder that we have boiled in the water, it's the best example. Making of tea is the best example of the decoction. So whatever nicotine and caffeine is present in the tea powder, which is gives the color to the tea. So next technique is the macreation is there. So in this image you can see the macreation is, that is the process where again the finely chopped plant material which is mixed. So solvent is the must for the extraction process or extraction technique. So that finely chopped plant material, it is mixed with the solvent, and that mixed, after mixing, so this is kept for a longer period of time, and in this period of time, so this material along with the solvent, it is continuously stirring, so that whatever content is present in the plants, so which get dissolved in the solvent, and after a longer period of time, so this is filtered, and in this way we are separating the solid part and the extract. So filtration and separation, this is the same technique that we are using for in the extractions. So this is the macreation. The next technique is the percolation technique is there. So this percolation technique, you can see in this image, one apparatus is used. So that apparatus is called as a percolator. So it is a narrow cone shaped vessel which is open at the both ends. So you can see at the bottom of this percolator one cock is there, and at the upper edge it is completely open, and uh, this percolation technique is most frequently used to extract the active ingredients in the preparation of tinctures and fluid extracts. So this is specific, this is different from the other extraction techniques is that, so it is used to extract the active ingredients in the preparation of tinctures and fluid extracts. And you can see here in this percolator, so one perforated plate is there, and above this perforated plates, so that crude plant material is kept, and above this you can see the menstruum is there. So in botany, menstruum is nothing but the solvent which is used for the extraction purpose. So in these percolation techniques, so we are soaking the crude material of the plant before keeping in the percolator. So this is material is soaked with the solvent for a certain period of time, and after soaking that material, we are keeping that crude plant material, or we are packed in this percolator, and then we are adding extra or excess of the solvent which is called as a menstruum. So excess solvent as we are adding, so whatever content is present in this inside this soap material, so that content it get drained out with this excess of solvent, and which is collected at the bottom of this percolator. The next technique is the continuous hot percolation, or which is also called as a soxylation. So as the name is continuous hot percolation, that means it is percolation only, but here we are using the heat, or that heat is continuously we are heating, so that's why the name is given continuous hot percolation, or it is also called as soxylation. Why it is called as a soxylation? Because the whatever apparatus is used, that the name of the apparatus, it is a soxylator. So you can see in this image soxylator is there. So soxylator, it contains the round bottom flask, and above this round bottom flask extractor is there, and above this extractor condenser is there. So here and this round bottom flask is continuously heating. So in this round bottom flask we are keeping the solvent, and whatever crude part is there, so that part we are keeping in the apparatus which is called as extractor, where we are pack that crude part of the plant. So this is the process is applied when the drugs, the most important thing is that this process is applied whenever the drugs which are not freely soluble in the solvent. That's why the method is used. They are not freely soluble in the solvents, and we are giving that these material they get solubilized in the solvent, and it is a continuous downward displacement of the solvent through the crude material of the plant. This is used to extract active ingredients in the preparation of tinctures and the fluids. So this is applicable for the tinctures and fluids. Then the next technique that we are using in the extraction purpose is the chromatographic technique. So in extracting whatever content are there present in the plant, so that we are extracting by using the solvent. In chromatography technique is also is used for the separation purpose. So chroma means color, and graphene means is to write. In chromatographic techniques, so that technique is more beneficial than the extraction technique. So how it is beneficial? So in chromatography we are separating the active components which are present in the plant, as well as we are identifying the component, and the one more thing is that we are able to purify the components also. So this is the advantage of the chromatographic techniques over the extraction technique, that here we are identifying and as well as we are purifying the components which are present in the material. So this is beneficial than the extraction techniques. So in chromatography, uh, so these are the applications of chromatography. That is, this technique is used for the separation of amino acids, then proteins and carbohydrates. Then it is also used for the analysis of drugs, hormones and vitamins. And this is, as I already told, is that it is the qualitative and as well as the quantitative analysis of the mixtures. We can do the qualitative as well as the quantitative analysis of the complex mixtures of the plants. And this technique is also useful for the determination of molecular weight of the proteins. This is the most advantageous part of this chromatography, that we can determine the molecular weights of the proteins also. In chromatography, generally we are using the stationary phase and the mobile phase. Stationary and mobile phase. Stationary phase, but the thing is that these two phases, stationary phase and the mobile phase, they should be in contact with each other. Then and then only the separation is possible. If these phases are not in come into contact with each other, then we cannot separate out the material. So they should be in contact with each other. Depending on the stationary phase and the mobile phase, there are different types of chromatographic techniques are there. So these are the some list of the chromatographic techniques are there. So in that, paper chromatography is there, then thin layer chromatography is there, then gel chromatography is there, then we have the ion exchange chromatography, then we have the gel filtration chromatography, then we have the gas liquid chromatography, we have the affinity chromatography. So depending on the stationary phase and the mobile phase. Now in paper chromatography, stationary phase that we have used is the paper, and the mobile phase, as it is the name is the mobile phase. So that mobile phase is generally it is liquid or the gas. So in this paper chromatography, liquid, mobile phase is the liquid. Thin layer chromatography, in this thin layer chromatography we are using the silica gel, and mobile phase is the liquid. Gel chromatography, gel is used. In column chromatography, we are again using the solid as a stationary phase. In ion exchange chromatography, some resins are used. So that resins are the cation exchange resins are there, then anion exchanger resin is there. So depending on the presence of ion, whether it is cation or anion, so that accordingly cation or anion exchange resins are used. Then gas liquid chromatography is the chromatography where the stationary phase is the gas phase and the mobile phase is the liquid phase. So this generally separation is done with the affinity or adsorption of the components on the stationary and the mobile phase. So that adsorption is different for the different components. So that as adsorption is different, so they get separated out. So generally in botany, thin layer chromatography is used. Here you can see the one image is there for the thin chromatography is there. So here is the glass chamber is there which contains the solvents. Generally we are using the organic solvents like alcohols and ethers and benzene for the separation purpose. So here is the solvent used here. Organic solvents are there, and you can see the glass plate is there. So that glass plate, it is dipped in the silica gel. Throughout that glass plate is dipped, and the one part of the solid is kept and other part is removed. And you can see here is the leaf extract is spotted. So that if you carefully observe this spot of this leaf extract, so this is above the solvent level. So one thing is we should remember, we should do is that we should give the spot above the solvent level, so that there is a separation, is proper separation we can get. So after giving the spot, we can keep this plate inside this chamber and in the solvent. So after some time you can see here the next, we can see the plate which is having the different colored spots. So after some time we can see this different colors spot, but before that we have to keep that, we have to dry that glass plate, and we have to keep this glass plate inside the iodine chamber which contains the few crystals of iodine. So that iodine interacts with these components and it gives the color, so that we can visibly observe the colored spot. So here you can see different colored spots are there. So you can see blue color spot, it is for the chlorophyll field. Chlorophyll A is green color, then carotenoids is there, xanthophylls are there, then carotenoids are there. That means we are giving the leaf extract spot, and we after some time these components, these components, that means chlorophyll, carotenoids, they get separated out in the plate. That means this we can identify these components by, in this chromatographic technique, we identify the components by calculating the RF values. So that RF value, the long form of the RF value is the retention factor. So that retention factor we are calculating that the one formula is there, that means RF value is equal to the distance traveled by the solute divided by the distance traveled by the solvent. So here are the solutes are the components and the solvent that whatever we have used. So you can see the mark for the solvent front. So that distance we are calculating between the baseline up to the solvent front. So this is the distance traveled by the solvent, and from the baseline, that is whatever, whenever we have spotted the leaf extract, this is called as a baseline. From baseline we are calculating the distance traveled by the chlorophyll, then distance traveled by the second spot, that is chlorophyll A, and accordingly we are calculating the RF values. So this RF value is very much important because the RF value is the characteristic of the each and every chemical compounds. So by calculating the RF value, we can easily tell which compound is present there. So this is used for the identification purpose. We can easily identify the which compound is there by knowing the RF value. This is the advantage of this technique. So then second technique which is commonly used in these medicinal plants, so that is column chromatography. As the name is column chromatography, that means here we are using some column is there, so that we are preparing some column inside one burette, and there is at the end we can see the pinch cock is there. So in this column we are adding the crude material and the solvent. So here is the stationary phase is the column, that is the solid part is there, and we are adding the solvent from the top. And in the second image you can see here the adsorbent, that is the stationary phase is there, and the compound that we are loaded on this column. So this is a mixture of the compound A and compound B and compound C, and after that the solvent is there in the blue colored. And then after some time you can see the different stages of the separation of the components as the time passes away. So these components they get separated in the second burette. What you can see, so component A is get separated, so we can see the different colored bands in column chromatography. So we can see the darker brown band for the component A, and at the bottom of this A you can see the lighter brown color bond compound B and C. And as the time passes away, so in third burette you can see that these three compounds, that is compound A, B and C, they are showing the different colored bands. So that means here they get separated out, and by using the solvent we are collecting these components in the different flasks. So that means thin layer chromatography, it is used for the identification purpose, but if you want to separate out the components active part of the plants, we can use the column chromatography. That means we are identifying as well as here we are able to separate out the components in the larger scale. For the larger scale we use the column chromatography. But one more thing is that in column chromatography we are not measuring the RF value. So these are the references that I have used for the preparation of this presentation. Some of the images and some papers are there.